Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michelle, Nazima, and Eric. That was a wonderful presentation. And you can really see all the hard work that you've put into it. And we also, later on, will be hearing from Christine Jones, our subject matter expert, which is exciting. I'd like to open up now for Q&A or feedback. If you would like to go ahead and use the chat box, that would be great. And then I will clarify the questions. If needed, we can take you off mute and you can ask questions or provide feedback directly. Excellent. We've got some great comments coming in from folks, which is lovely. Something that I think is interesting, that I think the audience will find interesting as well, is to talk a little bit about the evolution of your product during the pandemic crisis that we had. I noticed that you included reference to it on numerous occasions. So could you tell us a little bit more about how you made that adaptation real time?
So of course, when we started planning this, we were really focused on this root concept. And then everybody went into lockdown and we had to change our plans a little bit. So we shifted, and you can see that we've put a big focus area on online events. And we expect that that will be especially important in the next few months. But we also want to retain that feature. I think some people don't always want to go out in evenings. Sometimes you want to stay warm and comfortable in your house and experience something online. So particularly important for now, but it's also something that we hope will stay. And then we've also been brainstorming on routes such as this mural route, where as people can start going out, can go to places that are in open public spaces and they can still enjoy, such as all the fantastic public art that's available in San Diego. So that's certainly factored into our thought process a lot, as long as really exposing artists for blogs and other online work, seeing that people can't meet them in person at the moment or see the studios in real life.
You've certainly done a great job with that. In terms of questions that were coming in from the audience, so one is from Greg Horowitz from UCSD. How do you augment the experience, both pre and post experience? How do you build anticipation in addition to helping people go deeper after their experience?
Could we get a little more clarification on the experience part? Which part?
Sure. Greg, do you mind go ahead and taking yourself off mute and providing a little bit more context?
Happy to. So you talk about the experience that people can have using the app, but very much building the anticipatory awareness and excitement before people actually go into the experience can be good. Things maybe to read up on something ahead of time, something to prime their intellectual curiosity beforehand. And then post-experience, after someone's had it, how can they learn more about some of the stuff? In other words, serving them up instead of resource materials or other things so they can learn more about something or share more about the experience with others.
Absolutely. And that's where we really see the gamification coming in terms of building up anticipation in unlocking events as you go on. You have to visit certain sites or do a certain number of things before you can unlock certain challenges, which we hope will also create that anticipation and build up. So maybe a few teaser videos or talks, and then you've got to do something to really be part of the elite group. And if you then do it, you unlock all kinds of features, which might be an invitation to book artist studio tour, maybe preview tickets to an event, all further cultural challenges and also underground events. So one thing that we thought about is that we really want to highlight these kind of emerging artists, underground events. But how do you keep something underground if you're advertising it, usually on an app? And one thing that you can potentially do that is having that special previews or certain events featured only to users who in a sense are an elite group that have done certain things, and build suspense in that way.
And then in addition to that, there's also the content marketing side of it. So building that blog and having a composite of knowledge, obviously based on what people are for, I think that could, at least in the pre-phase, really bring traffic and people in and get them more involved.
Excellent, thank you. And now the questions are flowing in. So we've got a couple more. Have you considered narrations that might accompany a walking tour, like headsets in a museum?
It's not been our main focus to now, but the nice thing about people being able to add their own items is that this could potentially become a feature. People could add their own narrations, which someone would then moderate and check, but that could become part of the app.
That's a great idea. Okay, and how can you ensure you load enough content into the app initially before there are enough people adding their events to the app?
So, I mean, it's a little tricky, and I think that's the most difficult part at this point. And the way we sort of tackled it is by web scraping. So picking popular sites that have events already and pulling data from there. Obviously, that was not going to this is only on the initial stage to populate our platform. And I think once we're in a good space, which we are, I don't remember the exact number, but we're definitely over 200, I believe, in terms of the places and events that we have on our platform. And from there, building these partnerships are key. And I think so far the people that we've spoken to have been very positive and are willing to share the events and things that they're sort of posting as they're going along. So that's.
Thank you, Nazima. We lost you there towards the end, but I think you did a great job actually of answering the next question, which was what kind of feedback have you received from potential users? So thank you very much. We've got time. Here's another. Does the gamification include vetting others' contributions? Oh, it looks like we have a couple of gamification questions, actually. So let me repeat that one. Does the gamification include vetting other users' contributions?
Not the gamification aspect particularly, but yes, we have built in a strong vetting process because we want to keep the content relevant, inclusive, and of a high quality. So we've set up a process where first when people submit, some basic things will be required, such as having a profile. And from that, we can at least check valid email addresses and also follow users potentially if we see that there are repeated poor quality submissions, but also users who have great quality submissions can become super users in a sense. So arts and culture organizations and businesses will be able to post without restrictions. Individual users posting it, we will first do some basic checks. Does the image seem to match with the description that they give? Does the name of if it's a building, for example, does that name and the location match what we found on internet records as a type of verification? If these things are met, those entries are given a higher ranking, whereas if a lot of those information is either not met or incomplete, it's given a lower ranking. And depending on that confidence ranking, those entries are then moderated by people and double check that the information is factual and of the right standard. Much like Airbnb did at the beginning of their process, where they sent professional photographers around to make sure that there's good quality photographs. We also at the beginning want to make sure that we've got high quality images to set the standard on the platform so that other users will follow that standard. So a process of both AI and human moderation.
Fantastic. So last two questions that we have time for. So one more, just piggybacking on the gamification question. What have you seen in the gamification realm that you might provide examples of to help widen participation as opposed to limiting it?
Yeah, and to reiterate, although we've talked about this concept of scarcity. Really the idea there is to widen participation, not to limit it, by making people excited about it. And the three big companies that we looked at there were Duolingo, Fitbit, and also looking at rewards, for example, like Starbucks rewards. So what Duolingo does is you have the ability to share your progress with friends and family, have a social group, so that you can share that enjoyment. And really the arts is meant to be enjoyed. You can also, as you go on, you unlock again, creating that sense of you want to go further, you want to challenge yourself. And looking at Fitbit, again, you have the idea of joining communities and kind of social groups to motivate each other, as well as weekly challenges or goals, potentially, with rewards when you meet those goals. In the case of Starbucks, that might be a free coffee. In our case, that might be early previews to a show.
Wonderful. And one last question, which I love it because it goes right in line with not only our name, Scale, but also something that you've all considered as well. How might you be able to scale this to other cities and communities?
I can talk to that. The hope right now is to really use San Diego as our case study. Since it is our backyard and we know, have enough connections and we know more people and art organizations, and try to really understand and study the artist side, the art organizations along with the city, and see how they are working together. And the hope is that we can replicate that model to other cities similar to San Diego. And our early thought right now is that we'll go for smaller cities as opposed to big cities. And that's as far as we've gotten. So.
Fantastic. Well, great job, team. You've taken your full amount of time, which I appreciate. We're staying on schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and invite the two-way team to come and take over the screen. And
I just want to jump in and say, awesome work, CityCanvas team. Like, really love what you have created and how far you've come along. And this is really great. Thank you, guys.
I want to say thank you to both of you as well. Scale has been just super helpful through the process.